friends, it's Deanna here, and today we're going to be sewing up the curved hem pocket tank. And I'm really excited about this one because I live in South Georgia and it is very hot, so tanks are a must. But during the fall and winter season, I love tanks with a cardigan, and Ellie and Mac has the best cardigans out there. So get yourself the tank, let's make the tank, and then come check out some other one of our videos and make some of our cardigans with us. So that will be fun. So before we get started, let me go ahead and remind you about our Fun Fan giveaway where we give $50 Ellie and Mac gift certificate to one of our subscribers. And all you have to do is, if you're not subscribed, first of all, you're not subscribed? Really? Subscribe right now. Subscribe to our channel, and then once you subscribe, comment below and you will be entered for our giveaway. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. I've already cut out my pattern and I have all my pieces, and we're gonna get started. So I have my two backs because the back was cut on the fold, and I'm gonna grab one back, not on the fold, I'm sorry, it was cut mirrored. I'm gonna grab one back and I'm gonna put it face up. I'm going to grab the other back and put it face down right on top of it. And I know I get questions a lot about why is the back cut in two and not just one straight back. Because it's cut in two because when you cut it in two and you have that back seam, you can give it a better shape to the back. Our backs are not completely straight, so doing something like this, doing the two, the cut on the cut on the back, you know, you have to sew the back, gives it a better shape. We want a better shape. So even if we have to do a little extra step, it's worth it. So I'm going to go ahead and sew it. I am using my serger today, but if you want to use your sewing machine, you're more than welcome to. All you need to do is use a zigzag stitch or some kind of stretch stitch that will work on the material, the fabric you're using. And what I would recommend you do is grab a scrap piece from the fabric that you're using and try out different stretch stitches on your sewing machine and see which one works best for the fabric that you're using. I am using this beautiful ribbed knit. Yes. I love ribbed knit, so this is amazing. Trying to look for my scissors. Here they are. Alright, so now that I have my top sewn in the back, my front is already put together, so I don't need to do anything to the front right now. Now I'm going to go ahead and steam the back, and I want the seam to go all one direction. So if you're putting it to the left, you want the whole thing to go to the left. If you're doing it to the right, you want the whole thing to go to the right, because when you push it to one direction, then that's when you're not going to have those. My iron had turned off, so it's warming up again. That's why I can just set it on my fabric. Then you won't have those wiggly, like, you know, wiggly curves that sometimes come on, what do you call it? When you sew. That's what it is. Okay? So see how that gives it more of a straight look? Now I'm going to, what was that? I'm going to grab my top and I'm going to grab my back, front and back, and I'm going to go ahead and hem. Now, this is a curved hem, and I have a lot of people who ask me, or say, I do not know how to do a curved hem. There's nothing to a curved hem, honestly. All you have to do, sorry, my camera is kind of going in and out, but I think you can see me better now. All you need to do is, I'm going to try to point it here, but it's kind of, you can't see it. Okay, so it's 1/2 inch down, and as you're sewing, as you're steaming, you kind of pull the fabric just a little bit. Like, you're not pulling it, like you're not pulling at it, you're just kind of like making it go down, making it go sideways. And honestly, that's all there is to it. Now when you get to the corners, you kind of usually have like a little piece left over, so don't like be so worried that you're like, oh, I gotta pull it all the way. No, that's okay if you have a little piece right there, because that's gonna be your seam allowance. You're gonna come in right here a little bit when you sew, so you'll be just fine. So as you're curving it, you're kind of just pulling it even just a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and hem that. I'm using my cover stitch, but if you don't have a cover stitch, that's okay. You can do a zigzag stitch, and what I would do is I would make it a little bit of a wider zigzag stitch so it's not like so tight for the hem. And then I would, or you can do a double needle. Now this curved top, it's kind of more flowy at the bottom, so even if you wanted to do a longer straight stitch, that might work. I've done that before, but you want to try it and see what works best for you. So I'm going to go ahead and hem my back and my front, and then we'll come back and move on to the next step. Alright, so I've hemmed my top. Now we're going to work on our pocket. So I've got my pocket, and I'm going to fold it. I'm trying to figure out which one's the right side and the wrong side. I'm going to fold 1 inch down. I got to grab my ruler. It fell down, and I forgot it was back there. So I'm going to fold 1 inch down towards the wrong side of the fabric. I know you can't tell because this is dark color, but it's folded down to the wrong side of the fabric, and I'm going to top stitch right there at that 1 inch. So I'm going to top stitch that stitch right there. Real quick. Again, I'm using my serger, but you can just use your sewing machine, a straight stitch with your sewing machine right there for top stitching. Okay, so now that that's top stitched, I'm going to go ahead and grab my pocket and fold it 1/4 inch in on all sides. Both sides 1/4 inch. Fold it in. And then I'm going to fold the bottom in 1/4 inch as well. So we're folding the bottom in and the sides in. And I'll show you. You see how it's all folded in? Folded in right here, folded in at the bottom 1/4 inch. And I'm gonna grab my front, the one that is not sewn on the fold. I'm gonna place it up. I'm gonna grab my pattern piece. I'm gonna match it up. Here's my shirt front. I'm gonna turn it around and match it up this way. All right, and you can cut out if you want to. You can cut that out for easier matchup. But I'm just gonna like put it right there and then move it out of the way, and then I know it's right here. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is after I match up the pocket, I'm going to pin it, and I'm gonna sew the sides. Top stitch the sides and the bottom. I am not top stitching the top because that's where your things go in. So let me go ahead and top stitch sides, up, down, over, up. We're gonna top stitch, and then after we top stitch, we'll move on to our next step. Okay, so I fixed it. I put the pocket on. I did go back and change my thread color because I had chosen white because I thought white will go with this, and then it was too bright. So I took the white off and I redid it, but I did the same thing. I just did what I told you to do, but I had to go back and pick all of it off and then do it again. You know, you learn from your mistakes. So now I won't be doing that again. I will be using white thread with a dark color for a while. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and grab this is our front piece, and we're gonna put our back piece right on top of it, meeting at the shoulders. Or you can do your back piece facing up and put the front piece right on top of it facing each other. Either way, same results. So we're meeting at the shoulders. So now we're gonna go ahead and sew those shoulders together. Sew them together. All right, and now the other one. So do you use thread, like do you match your thread to your fabric, or like what do you do? Because I struggle sometimes because I don't have every color thread. So like what colors do I use with what? So like I have white, black, like a cream color, a gray, and then I have some pinks, but like very little. And then I have like this tan, like taupe color, I think it's called. I'm not really sure. And that kind of goes with everything. So I use that a lot on things. Okay, so now we're gonna meet our sides together. Our sides of our, make sure you meet it together, right to the end, right sides together, raw edges touching. So tell me what you do. Do you buy thread for a specific like garment you're sewing, or do you just use what you have, or do you have certain colors that you use on a regular basis? Like my sewing machine has been threaded with this color. My serger has been threaded with this color for a while now because I just been using that same color this whole time. And usually the only time I really will change it, it's if it's black, because I don't want my seams to be like a different, like if it's really, really dark, like if it's navy or black, then I change it because I don't want them to be, I don't want you to be able to see the threads. Or if it's white, because I don't want to have a dark color and then be able to see it. Okay, look, right there. We're going to sew those sides together. So let me sew these sides and we'll move on. We're almost done. All right, so sides are sewn. Now, when you sew the sides, you will have a little bit of thread, like your serge edge at the end. What I usually do to tuck those in is I just fold them right over the seam, like so, and then I zigzag stitch right there. So like I fold that piece down on top of the seam and I zigzag stitch right there. I'll show you. I'll zigzag. Just to kind of like attach it to. And then I clip the rest of it and all the threads, and it's like nothing ever happened. See? Can't even see it. It's just got zigzagged inside the seam. So that's good. Your hem is done. Now we're going to band. And what we're going to do first is find our quarters. So on your sleeve, see how they're like evened, the two seams. So we're gonna go ahead and fold them, the two seams, right on top of each other, meet the raw edges and go to one side, and that's gonna be your 1/4 for your band. And then you go to the other side, and that's gonna be your other quarter for your band. And we're gonna go ahead and find the quarters for your neckband as well. So we'll meet the shoulder seams and we'll go to our back, and that's our seam in the back. That's already the back, so we don't need to actually even do that. And we do the same to the front. We go to the front. And what I do is I just like clip a tiny bit of fabric, not even enough for anybody to notice. Once I sew it on, it'll be eaten. So I meet the front and the back, and I go to the one side because obviously the shoulder seams are not my quarters. Then I match that point again, and I go to the other side, and those are my quarters. If you already saw, I already did one of my bands, see? And they're all done the same way. So I can show you in one of my bands, and then you can do them all the same way. So let me see, this is my neck band. Yes, that's longer. So we're gonna grab our neck bands and all our bands, and we're gonna face them right sides together at the short edge, right sides together. Trying to figure out the right side, because you know, like this fabric, sometimes it's kind of hard to tell which is the right side and which isn't. So this is rib knit, but this burgundy like color, plum, it is a bamboo cotton. It is awesome. I love it. It's like butter. It's kind of like, it's thinner double brush poly, if that makes sense. If you know double brush poly and you love double brush poly, then you would like this fabric. It's just thinner than double brush poly. So it's like smoother, like more airy. I don't know if that makes any sense. All right, so now we're gonna match up our quarter points. So, oh wait, we didn't get quarter points on our bands yet. So we got that seam in the back, we're going to the front, that's our half. Then we're gonna match up the front and the back together. And quarters, 1, 2. Same for our other one, same for all 3 of them. So I already did 1, and meet, and go to one side, go to the other, and now I've got my quarters on all of them. Okay, so that's my neckband, this is my armband, obviously the shorter one. So I'm gonna start by meeting the seam on the one with the seam. I'm gonna put it actually on my armpit. And we're gonna match the raw edges, and we're gonna match right sides together. So oops, I put it on backwards because I clipped it on this side. So I wanna make sure that I put it on the side that I clipped it so I know where it's supposed to be. And we're pinning, and I'm gonna show you raw edges together, right sides together. Okay. We're meeting the raw edges to the raw edge. Okay. All right, so you see how it's in there. Raw edges matching. So now I'm gonna go ahead and sew that on. Sew that raw edge. Come on, my pin came off. This is when clips would come in handy. But I don't have clips, so I just use pins. So my pin is gonna have to listen to me. All right, so now we start a little bit, and we pull our fabric of our band to match up the length of our armhole. Make sure everything else is out of the way so you don't clip anything else. And then we move on to the next quarter point. And we're just gonna sew all the way around the whole band. And we're gonna do that with all 3 bands. We're sewing them on just the same way, all 3 bands. Let me finish putting them on, and then I'll show you the last step. All right, so our bands are on. So see how it's sewn on those right sides. Here's my seam. So now I've turned it inside out so I can steam my seams all the way up. Now, like I said, you're gonna do that with all your bands. It's the same method with all your bands. So we're gonna steam them up. Okay, once it's steamed up, we're gonna grab our band. So I'm gonna put it like this so you can see it. There's my seam, there's my band. My seam is going up. See my seam going up? Here's my pocket, so my seam is going up towards my neck. And I'm gonna grab my band, and I'm gonna fold it down over that seam. Now, it's up to you if you wanna fold it like very tight over the seam, so like your binding is not as long, shorter. You can pull it really, really tight, you know? So it's just the width of your seam allowance. Or you can just fold it barely like around up to the edge. Like there's my seam, like you can barely cover the edge, and then your band will be wider. See how much wider that is? So really it's up to you if you want to make a thin band or a wider band. If you want to make a thin band, then later when you're done sewing it on, you can go ahead and trim the excess. I'm making a little bit of a wider band. I like the look of the wider band. I might make a thin band later on. So I'm just barely, like, I'm just covering the seam, but I'm leaving like space out. So it's like, let me just show you. So I'm barely covering the seam, like right here, just barely gonna cover it like that. But if you wanted a thinner band, then you would like go like way above and beyond covering it. Okay, hope that makes sense. So I'm barely covering it because I want just a thin band, I mean a thicker band, sorry. Tell me what you're doing. Are you doing a thicker band or a thinner band? Thicker or thinner? And I'm going all the way around pinning because now I'm gonna go back and top stitch it. You can do zigzag stitch, you can do double needle, you can do cover stitch, whatever you want to do. You're gonna top stitch it right there. So I'm gonna top stitch it starting from the back because I want that back seam to stay in the back. And as I'm doing that, I am pulling the fabric down to stay over my seam. So you want to make sure that it's over your seam. So I'm gonna stop at every pin and check and make sure that it's still my seam is being covered, so it didn't like move up when I was doing it. Because you know that fabric likes to move. So I want to make sure that it's right. Okay, I'm almost done. Covering that up. And going. Covering that seam up. And going. And the last pin. And if you don't have a cover stitch, no worries. You can do it in a sewing machine. But I will tell you this, cover stitch makes things so much easier. Okay, now I'm gonna turn my curved hem pocket top tank right side out. And I'm done. I'm just steaming and I'll show you my neckband. Okay, now, if you made it like really tight, like a really thin band, you will have like overlap right here at the end of fabric. You'll have a little bit of fabric. You can go very, very carefully and trim that up. I don't really have any. I just have a little bit right there where I kind of moved down a little bit. But because I went close to the edge, I wanted it to go as close to the edge as possible so you have a thicker band so you could really see the band. So my tank is done. Do you like it? I love it. I will take a picture of it on and then I will post it as I usually do. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please come join us over at Ellie and Mac Facebook page or Instagram. We want to see what you're making. We want you to see what we're making. We want you to be inspired. Please let me know if you have any questions about anything that I did on this tutorial, or let me know what other things you want to see. Comment, like, subscribe, and share with your friends. So I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time.